You ever watch someone pull up next door, roll out with a smile as wide as the driveway, and within a week, you realize, oh, this is what folks mean when they say neighbor from hell? No, seriously, have you ever had someone try to just take your driveway like it was a pack of sugar left on the counter? Because let me tell you about Karen, the woman who thought she could turn my quiet suburban home in her own personal car lot, and then decided, when that wasn't enough, she'd hit me with a cease and desist letter. Yeah, over my driveway. So let me back it up. 3 years ago, I bought my house, a 3-bedroom, quiet neighborhood, nothing fancy, but perfect for a guy who works from home and just wants peace. Place came with what everyone called a shared driveway. That's how the realtor pitched it. Runs between my house and the neighbors, wide enough for 4 cars side by side. You can double up if you want, but it's a handshake deal. Both previous owners, a couple of nice retirees, just worked it out like grown-ups. You stick to your side, I stick to mine, wave at each other, maybe swap stories about the weather. That's it. Zero drama. Then, the old folks moved out, wanted to be closer to their grandkids. I was sad to see them go, honestly. House sat empty a couple months. That's when Karen shows up. First time I see her, she's in this tank of an SUV. Takes up 2 spots, doors barely miss scraping the mailbox. I figure, hey, moving day, people get frazzled, no biggie. I even park on the street to give them space. Except a week passes. Her SUV, still blocking the same 2 spots. Then her husband's truck shows up, then a sedan, and then, God help me, the kids, 5 of them, each apparently with their own set of keys. One's barely old enough to shave, but somehow they're all drivers. By month's end, Karen's clan has 6 vehicles. 6. Suddenly, our shared driveway is being asked to handle 7 cars, counting mine. I'm thinking this can't go on, but I try to be the good neighbor. Bring cookies over, introduce myself. Karen barely even looks at me. She takes the cookies, mumbles a thanks, and shuts the door. Well, all right then. I'll let it slide, but every day, another one of her kids' cars is blocking mine in. I have to go knock, ask someone to move, and the first few times, it's just the eye roll from a teenager. Then Karen starts opening the door herself, arms crossed, frown locked and loaded, telling me, well, you know, if you didn't park so far back, you wouldn't get blocked in. I tell her, I park where I've always parked. Same spot, 2 years running. She says, well, things change. We have 6 drivers. You should be more flexible. Flexible? She means get out of the way. I keep my cool, but inside I'm fuming. It only gets worse. One morning I walk out, and her kids have completely taken over my side. I'm forced to park on the street. I mention it to her, and she just shrugs, says, first come, first serve. I say, that's not how shared driveways work. She goes, well, it is now, and slams the door. That's when I start documenting everything. Dates, photos, notes. If you've ever had that feeling of storm brewing, but nobody believes you, that was me. About 6 weeks in, I come home from errands and find a letter slipped under my door. Cease and desist. She's really done it. Sent me a formal letter claiming, based on some old documents, that the entire driveway is hers. Says I've got 7 days to stop parking there. I laugh at first, then I get mad. Then, like any sensible American, I call my lawyer, Connor. Connor gets real interested. He says, let's do a full title search, survey. Let's make sure before we answer. A few days later, the surveyor comes out, checks all the original markers, does his calculations, and then gives me the news. You ready for this? The driveway is entirely on my property. Every square inch. The so-called shared driveway was never actually shared. My lot ends 15 feet closer to Karen's house than anyone thought. The whole thing is mine. Turns out, way back when the 2 properties were owned by family, cousins, I think, and the family on Karen's lot just used the driveway out of convenience. No paperwork, just family doing family stuff. Over the years, everyone assumed it was shared, but it never was. Karen's lot actually has a narrow, overgrown strip on the other side that leads out to the side street. A legal driveway, if she'd ever bothered to look at the plat map. Nobody used it, so it turned to weeds. I let that info simmer for a bit, just relish the irony. Karen tries to claim my driveway, but her own driveway is a thicket of bushes. Connor drafts a response. Professional, airtight, devastating. Tells Karen, according to the official survey, the driveway is entirely my client's property. Any use you had was by informal permission, which is now revoked. However, my client is willing to offer a legal easement for $500 per month. That's fair, maybe even generous, given the going rate for parking in our area. For a week, nothing. Then Karen's husband shows up at my door, looking about 10 years older than last time. Wants to work something out. I tell him, the offer's still good, $500 a month. Take it or leave it. I expect some back and forth. Instead, a few days later, I get a letter from Karen's lawyer. Claims adverse possession and historical use, threatens legal action. Connor reads it and just laughs. He explains, adverse possession only works if you use the property exclusively for years, decades even. Your driveway was never used exclusively by Karen's family. They got nothing. Connor fires back. Offer stands for 3 more weeks. Otherwise, Karen's welcome to her own legal access, bushes and all. 30 days pass. I give an extra week just to be civil. Then I call the fence company. Saturday morning, sun shining, coffee hot. The crew shows up. I'm sitting on my porch, watching them line up the posts exactly where the surveyor marked the property line. A solid, beautiful wood fence goes up. Karen comes tearing out of her house before the first post is in, screaming that I'm blocking her access, threatening police, lawsuits, the works. Crew ignores her. Cops come, see the permits, the survey, the fence well within my property. They shrug and tell Karen, "Ma'am, nothing illegal is happening here." She nearly blows a gasket, but the fence goes up anyway. Now, here's the twist, the real beauty of the whole thing. That overgrown driveway strip on Karen's property? Turns out, when my surveyor looked closer, it wasn't even truly hers. Decades ago, my property had granted an easement to hers, but there was a catch. If her side ever made a legal claim against my property, that easement could be revoked. Karen's lawsuit triggered the clause. Connor files the paperwork. Suddenly, not only does Karen lose my driveway, she loses legal access to that overgrown side strip, too. Her only option now is to beg the other neighbor for driveway access, and from what I hear, they can't stand her. I watch as Karen's fleet of cars starts disappearing. They sell off, too. Kids are squabbling, walking to the bus stop. Karen's husband comes to my door one last time, begging me to reconsider. He looks like he hasn't slept in days. For a split second, I almost feel bad. Almost. But then I remember all those mornings I was blocked in, all those doors slammed in my face. I tell him, the offer expired. The fence stays. Of course, Karen files another lawsuit. Claims the survey's fake, the fence is illegal, accuses me of emotional distress, wants the fence gone and a free driveway forever. The case drags on. When we finally get to court, the judge takes one look at the survey, the history, the permits, dismisses everything. Says Karen's lawsuit is frivolous. Then, best part, orders her to pay my legal fees. Karma. So now, a year later, the fence is still up. Karen's family has downsized to 3 cars, and they squeeze them onto whatever patch of ground they can scrounge. I see the older kids hoofing it down the block. Karen's got her alternative access, but it's so inconvenient. I'm told she's paying that other neighbor a premium, and they make her sweat for every inch. I sit on my porch, sipping coffee behind my quiet, peaceful fence, and I'll admit, it brings me more joy than it probably should. What's the lesson here? Don't get greedy. Don't think you can bully someone out of what's theirs just because you think you deserve it more. The law might move slow, but it's thorough, and it has a long memory. And, well, if you're ever tempted to take what isn't yours, maybe remember Karen, who lost everything she tried to steal. But here's where I'll throw it back to you. Where's the line between standing your ground and going too far? Was I too harsh, or just defending what's right? Did Karen get what she deserved, or did the rest of her family pay too steep a price for her ego? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me about your own neighbor wars, your run-ins with entitled folks. Where do you draw the line between justice and revenge?